Hello and welcome to yet another tutorial on Unity and Git. But why make it to begin with? Well, after explaining it many times to several people, I decided that it would be better and more concentrated, and it would relieve me from explaining it in person if I actually recorded the thing and gave some notes that people go out and just download for themselves. So whether you do this with your company, whether you do this with your indie game, with your project, it doesn't matter. Version control is absolutely essential in development in Unity. So this will require you to have just Unity installed and a browser. So to start off, let's create a new Unity project, wherever you like, give it whichever name makes sense to you. Okay, wonderful. And within the description, there's going to be a link to my repo here. And it's going to contain some useful stuff. Files that you will need to bootstrap your Unity project. Just go to clone or download and download zip. Save it somewhere useful. Now what we'll need to do is open the directory of where you've created your Unity project and your downloads folder where you just downloaded that zip. Go ahead and unzip it using whichever compression software you like. And there's going to be some files here. Just take all of them and put them within your project directory with Unity. We don't need this anymore. X this out. And this is what we're going to need. We're going to need the git commands cheat sheet to start off with. If you have got another IDE except for Notepad, that would help. No. Okay, fantastic. Okay, you might notice that there's something going on with just with the display of my windows here. This is because I'm connecting to another computer through a remote desktop because the session is supposed to be in collaboration. So we're going to need to log in from multiple computers. So, okay. First things first. We actually have to get Git. Git is a piece of software that's decades old. And it can be a little bit strange to use to start off with, but after time you will find it invaluable. So this tutorial is going to go through both Mac and Windows. I'm going to go through Windows because this is on 2 Windows machines, but not to worry, dear Mac users, all links will be provided to set it up on your machine. So link is here. Go ahead, click on your operating system, install it. And just go ahead and run. Just blindly accept everything. Just next. All of these settings are fine from default. Introduces a small little code editor in order for you to integrate with Git. And this is important because you really want to use Git from command line and only use a GUI client for visualization. It is a much faster way to get to information and much easier to troubleshoot. So step 2, we go to our cheat sheet And we go to this link, we see this here, git LFS, and then or this link for Mac. So git LFS, let's go to the site, just download it. For Mac users, look in the second link here. This will have you install it through something called Homebrew. It may be a little bit more verbose to start off with, but in the end I actually think it's preferable than going in and downloading binaries. Let's install this as well. The reason that we're downloading git LFS, git large file storage, is because Git itself does not deal very well with large files, and if we're going to be creating production assets, a lot of times those are large. So git LFS, it kind of creates a companion repo to the one that you're creating, and while Git itself stores pointers to those large files that are then also downloaded separately. Much faster, much more robust, and much more stable. Okay, so we've got two of these things installed, great. We've got our Unity project opened up, and within that Unity project, we've dropped off these files into the root directory. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and start running commands. Okay, let's open up our cheat sheet, and let's see what's here. We're gonna need to set up our username and our email, and this is actually not specific to Bitbucket or GitHub or any other vendor that you may choose. This is a paper trail, so when you will make a commit, when you will make a change that you would like to version, you will put your name on it that you are the author of that change. And this makes a fantastic use for your teammates to further blame things that will break on you on that time with specific changes. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm just being sarcastic, but you can do that as well. So, okay, so we've got this command here. We want to run this. How do we actually do it? Well, the fastest way that I like it, that I've kind of adopted, is you go within that folder which you would like to initiate your repository in, and you just right click and you choose git bash here. Dear Mac users, so you will just have to, I would suggest downloading the software iTerm2 for Mac, and then you will just run regular commands. You can type in cd or change directory and just drag and drop the directory of where you will like to navigate, which is going to be your project directory within Unity. So let's start out. What we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to invoke the Git software. I'm just going to type in git and press enter. Great, so we've got a bunch of commands here that popped up, and a little bit of a little bit of a manual, I guess, of Bootstrap themselves. So this is great. So that means Git is successfully installed. If it is not, please go back, uninstall it, reinstall it. So in our case, I want to run the command init within Git. So I tell my computer, hey, launch Git, and then Git says, what's up? And I'm telling Git, okay, invoke the function init, enter. And Git says, okay, initialize empty Git repository within this file. This is an after edit. One thing that I did not recall is this command, git lfs install. So after you typed in git init, type in this command and press enter. What this will do is make the required hooks in order for LFS to work. And you see, if you've got your hidden files viewable, you will see that there is this directory, .git. And all this stuff up here. It's not really human readable. And what it is, I mean, you can kind of think of it as like a smart compressed file. And it sorts everything in these chunks. And you can go back and you can retrieve anything that you've made in the past. It's kind of like a backup utility with collaborative features. So, okay, so we've got this. So currently nothing is there. What we want to do is version stuff to it. So add things within that repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in git. Let's take a look at our cheat sheet. Oh wait, yeah, we totally just skipped this step. Let's add our name, what we wanted to do. Okay, so great. Git config -- global, so for this entire computer, user.name, and I am going to add in, like I said, I'm using a second computer, so I'm going to add another name for usage, and then later on going to I'm going to collaborate with my real account. So there you got email. Type in your email. Enter. So this is a command that will prevent Git from asking you your username and password every single time that you will either obtain or upload a change onto the Git repo. So what we're going to do is that we're going to say, when I will store a password within Git, save it to the operating system's keychain. Okay, so once again here I've got Mac and Windows, using Windows, so I'm going to type in git config global credential.helper WinCred. By the way, if you are copying and pasting these commands, I would recommend typing them out. Careful, because this does use Vim style shortcuts and does not use Control-C or Control-V to paste. It's Control-Insert and Shift-Insert. So I would just recommend right-clicking on the screen and clicking copy and paste. Okay, so we're good here. It says nothing. When it says nothing, it's a good thing. That means the command went through and there were no errors. Okay, so we just started a new repo, right? It's here. We saw the new directory. Now, what we want to do is actually specify where this directory will reside. And this is a repository location. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to, a lot of people, Bitbucket seems to be in vogue. So we're going to create a Bitbucket repository rather than GitHub. But you can use really whatever. I'm just going to go through here and set one up. I've set up a dummy account for Bitbucket. Please go in, just bitbucket.org, set up a new account, with an email. And when you log in, you will just see the screen, and I have no repositories here, and I want to create a new one. Once you've created your Bitbucket account, go ahead and go to repositories, click this little plus to create a new repository. Give it some sort of more or less meaningful name. I'm going to call it Sandbox Git for Unity. As you can see, I've created several of these for practice. And yeah, we want to keep it as a private repository. Include a README? No. Create repository. Bitbucket gives us a few code snippets to start off our project. That's okay, we don't need them. We've got our own. Just copy everything after HTTPS, Control-C, and we're going to go back into our bash. Once again, if you're within your directory, just right-click and click Git Bash here, or work where we've left off before. And what we want to say is, this is the remote repository with which we will be syncing. because everyone has access to the exact same repository, and everyone's repository that's local will be synced with the one that's on the server. So everybody can always go back to anybody else's files, more or less, but let's just leave this as is. So we're going to say git remote add origin, remote repository. We're going to add a repository that we're going to call origin to as a property of our local repository. And then we're going to need to specify the URL. So I've copied that URL. Here it is. I'm going to press enter. So we got no errors, success. It has added that directory. So we've initiated that Git folder. So now let's just start finding out what is actually inside. Type in git status, and we see we've got our files that we've gotten from my repo and a few other Unity-centric folders. Although wait a second, Unity stores more folders than are listed here. And we don't have these show up because we don't need them. We only want to sync certain files, and other files will just remain local. It's Unity creates a whole variety of files that will associate with your project that do not need to be synced to with other people's copies of your project. And this includes some of the folders here. And if you open up this git ignore file with something reasonable like Atom, we will see that there's a series of extensions, some names here. These are all folders. This is all stuff that we don't want to sync. Second file here is git attributes. This is how all of these big files will be treated, and that they're going to be stored via git LFS because, as I mentioned before, Git does not do well with very large files, which is why we use this plugin. This part is going to be kind of hard for you to follow because I'm going to create a second username. And unless you're following with a friend, it might get a little confusing. So just let's just watch me go through this part, and maybe you want to follow it in the future for another project that you'll do. This is going to be the other person that's going to be collaborating with us. First, we're going to need to invite him or her, go through settings within Bitbucket, user and group access, and we're going to type in their name. So, there I am. And I want to give myself right permissions. Okay, great. So I'm going to get an invitation on my email that I'm using in order to use this repository and be able to push to this repository as well. At this point, I'm going to minimize this remote desktop, and I'm going to work from this machine as if I am the other collaborator. Thankfully, to my alter ego, I have just received the invite to participate within this project. If I go within this source tab here, I've got a little button on top that says clone. Once again, we don't need the git clone stuff, we just need the URL. Control C. Now, within a folder in which I'm considering collaborating with my other self, I want to open up Git, the same method, or cd, and then navigate to that directory for the Mac users. And I'm going to be typing in another command. I'm going to say once again git clone, and I'm going to be cloning that repository onto my local disk. And then I'm going to right click. Oh. Whoops. Not exactly sure what happened, but let's try that again. Sometimes copying things may not work, but that's okay. Git clone, and there we have it. There's our address. Okay, great. We don't have much stuff here, so the cloning process is pretty fast. And there it is. We've got this folder. Now, if what we'll need to do here is we can either go into this folder, can right-click and click Git Bash here. Again, you can also choose ls, and this will list the directories within that folder. And we see that there it is. We want to change to that directory. I'm just going to type in cd sandbox git for Unity. And there it is. So now if we type in git status, we see that nothing has been changed. But if we want to see what's here, we can also type in git log, and we see that there has been a commit made here before called initial commit. Fantastic. Now, considering this alter ego is the, I'm going to be the artist on this project, I want to make some materials. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up this project with Unity. Okay. Same project as before. And let's create, I'm going to create a new folder. And let's just, I'm going to give it some sort of name. I like to start off my folders with an underscore. So with alphanumerical sorting, they'll end up on top. And I'm just going to call this, let's say, Git for Unity. And within this folder, I'm going to create a folder called scenes. And I'm going to create another folder and call it materials. This we no longer need. I'm going to create now within this folder a new scene. I'm going to call this main. Within main, I'm going to double click. I'm going to create a cube. Like that. And I'm going to create a new material for this cube. Cube mat. That's great. Okay, and what I want to do is make it really red and super shiny. Okay, and I'm going to save this scene. Now, what I want to do is I want to commit my changes. I want to say that these are the changes that I would like versioned. So I'm going to go back to my folder, and I can either right-click bash, but I already have a window open. So let's go in here. Once again, just type in git status. And we see that we've deleted the sample scene, and we added a new directory here for Git for Unity, and this is where we've stored all of our changes. Now, the deleted files, we also use the git add command to add. So what we're doing is that we're versioning these changes. Not so much these files, these changes. These files will be stored within Git for later accessibility. So we're pretty free to delete files within Git because they're all going to be backed up. See, all of these files have been added. Some of them, no, it says renamed. That file has been deleted. So we can always retrieve it specifically from that name. And we want to say git commit m new scene with shiny red cube. Okay, and once again git push origin master. Now this is coming from my other account. Great, so that went through. So now I've been talking to my alter ego, and I told him that I've made a great shiny red cube. And he went that he would like to work on that cube as well. But he didn't tell me that he will be working on that immediately at the same time as me. So let's just kind of play out this scenario and see what will happen. The alter ego will go in and will be made known that his alter ego has made changes, and will type in git pull origin master. And we see that several changes have been made. So, I'm very much looking forward to going back to Unity and seeing them for myself. So there we are. And open up this scene and we see this cube. Perfect sync. So once again, I'm working from two separate computers. And this is not being synced locally over LAN. This is all going through Bitbucket. Okay, so in this scenario, within this cube, I decide that, well, this is kind of great, but this is way this is way too aggressive of a red. Kind of want to make this more deep, and I will go ahead and I will save. So within Git, I will say Git status. We see that this cube material has been changed. I'm going to add this. Commit it. Made red deeper. Okay, and I'm going to push this onto the server. Meantime, I have also been working on this material, and I decided to keep it red, but make it less smooth. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to check the status. We see that I also have this material, and I'm going to say git add, git commit made material, made shiny red material by smooth. Okay, now I've got a commit. And I'm like, great, I'm going to push it onto the server. Uh-oh, I've got an error. Let's see what it says. Updates were rejected because the remote contains work that you do not have locally. Okay, so this means that it has to be in sync. You can't push onto the remote repository up until you have the latest version. So let's go ahead and pull origin master. We're like, okay, well, we'll comply. Uh-oh, what is this? This means that our project has had a merge conflict, and this means that both people have been working on one file simultaneously. And this also typically occurs with some files within Unity. Unity will try to merge, some of them it'll just fail to merge completely. And in this case, I'm going to type in :X and enter to save. Now, if I go back to Unity, we'll see that this material has been updated. Sometimes it updates, sometimes it doesn't. It's quite fickle. I think probably with the Unity shader, maybe this may be more robust. But in either case, I just got material overwritten. So what do I do in order to combine these changes? Well, some of the things you will have to simply change locally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this material. This is going to be the material that my alter ego has changed. Now, what I'm going to do is type in git log. I see that this is the change that I had made. This is something called a SHA. This is the what I had, the changes that I had made, what I did, and the location with which I can reference this change. I'm going to right click on that, click copy. After that, I'm going to press Q, because otherwise I'm just going to continue down within this list. This makes us quit. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to say git checkout. We're going to take a file just out of this commit. Paste that commit, space. We're going to go up and we're going to see what file was exactly changed. And there it is. Auto merging assets, git for Unity, materials cube.math. And this is something that we'll have to do by hand. We've got this material here, and we've got this material here. This is the one that I pulled. This is the one that I currently have. Artistically, you will just have to find a compromise. If you are a developer, most likely you will be familiar with git diff and will be used to development with git at large. So mostly I'm going to go through this probably for the for mostly the artists within the team. And a lot of these things are not, some of these are, we do see some merge here between these, but obviously they're not both one and the same. What I would like to do is find a medium between one and the other. So probably take this material and make this somewhat deeper, but not completely. I will make a compromise, and I will delete this other reference material. Okay, let's go back, type in git status, and we'll see that I've modified this material. I say git add, git commit, compromise, change of material. Now this can be like some huge FBX model, a texture, and sometimes just changes will just break. You will simply not be able to merge. So this sort of there are several ways to go through the merge procedure. Something like this is probably, it is a little tedious, but it's may be seen as a little heavy-handed, but it does work. So like this is one of the aspects that are often not addressed by a lot of Git tutorials on resolving these sort of things within Unity, not just setting up Git. So we've made our commit for the change, and we're going to say git push origin master. This is going to be our compromise. Now, if we go onto my alter ego computer, let's type in git pull origin master. We will see that this material has now been changed to the material that I pushed. And we didn't get a merge conflict because I was pushing after no changes were actually made. The alter ego's computer did not have any other commits past that remote commit that I had just pulled. And that's pretty much it, guys. One thing that I will also leave you with is a command called git reset. And git reset will just take everything that you will, any changes that you will currently have, and discard them, or take you in the past with a previous commit. So, for example, if I will go and I will change this material to green, right? And if I type in git status now, I will have this material. Now I made maybe a bunch of changes. What I want to do is go back to where I was before and disregard all of the changes. To do that, I will invoke the reset command. Git reset -- hard head. This is where we currently are. And we're back. Also, if we type in git log to see where the changes were. Made right deeper. Here's the SHA. Copy. Git reset hard. Copy the SHA. We're back at this. Oh. Not supposed to see that. Okay, so let's go back to the latest one. Copy. Git reset hard to this directory, and we're back to the latest commit. And I'll stop it here. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave comments on what else really ails you and your projects. There are some things that I did not mention here that you might have and possibly will run into. Make sure you go through my cheat sheet. That will give you all of the commands that we went through, all of the download links, and should, for the most part, give you everything you need to know to get started with Unity and Git.